Okay. Let's see here if we are live. Make sure we're up. And people are rolling on. What's up, Greg Gold Coast? What's up, Brian? How is it going? I am messaging while you guys are jumping on. Okay. What's up, everybody? Janice from California. Hello, LA. Tara from Oklahoma. Let's go. Troy from Rochester. Welcome. How are you? Pamela, Minnesota. What's going on? Connie. Hello, Connie. How are you? What's up? Lisa, Heather, Kentucky, Texas. Somebody say I look pissed. Yes, I am. I am not pissed. I'm irritated. So Texas Brad, what's going on? Melinda in Nashville, what's going on? Hello there. Danelle, welcome. Wisconsin, hello. How's everybody doing? Hello. Hi there. Lisa, welcome. Beverly from Michigan, what's going on? Hello there. I'm going to, let's see, Holly, Brian and Michelle from North Carolina, welcome. So occasionally, what's going to happen tonight is Jason's stream is terrible. I'm going to try to bring him on off and on if we can. If not, I'm going to continue on because the show's got to go on, okay? I can't do anything about his network right now. I'm going to pull him up. If it doesn't work, I'll keep going. So, Jason, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I cannot. So if I can't hear him, I'm going on. So I will continue. His network is screwed up. It was working earlier today, but I gotta move on and we'll get him. We'll get it figured out. But it's not gonna stop the show from going. So welcome everybody, Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. And this is what we're gonna do tonight because I had a bunch of content for Jason. So I'm going to do the best I can to go over that. I'm going to cover what happened like literally an hour or so ago. I'm going to try to bring him up if he comes on. If not, it won't work. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Jason, can you hear me at all? Can you hear me? So that's what it's doing all night. So I'm not going to, the audio is not working either. We've tried everything. So none of its audio is not working by itself. I tried 3 different modes of communication. I've tried Skype, I've tried Zoom. His network is something, whatever. So here we go. We're going to have some fun tonight because that's what we got to do. Okay. And yes, you will see me sometimes irritated like this because I don't like when tech's not working and it's not working. And yes, we've tried the phone, guys. It's not working. We've tried it. We've tried everything. So, I'm not going to sit all night and try to figure this out. If he comes on, I'll try to bring him back on every time he comes into the feed. But other than that, we go on because his network is just screwing up. And he does not have the phone the way you guys think he has a phone. So I can't do that. So I would love to, but I can't do that. Okay. All right. Here we go. We're going to do this anyway. How does that sound? We are going to do this from a standpoint of big breaking news tonight. Now, the president is in Minnesota, right? So the president's in Minnesota right now. I'm going up against the president of the United States. It is not going to bode well for me. So it is what it is. But tonight, now keep in mind, if we go back about a week and a half, right? Week and a half, the president did a presser where he talked about a short list, all right? A short list of judge nominees, Supreme Court nominees. And then on top of that, crazy, about a week and a half later, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice, passed away. Now, I'm going to tell you some of the things that I saw tonight on Twitter and other places. First of all, apparently this morning, Fox News ran a whole deal where they had her from 1933 to 2019 was the screenshot. Now, I'm not saying that could have been made last year. Maybe they had it like in the warehouse, all stocked up, ready to go, because she's had a lot of different health conditions. But then on top of that, if you go to Jason Q's Twitter feed tonight, he also posted where there was a Muskogee News, basically an article saying that they had her funeral this morning at 10 a.m. Now, I'm going to try to find the legitimacy of that and to see if it's actually real. But I don't know. All I know is that I actually didn't know how many people knew if she was actually alive still or not. Like, I've always known, or I've always heard and had other people that were deep inside sources saying that she had passed away a long time ago. But then it's interesting. A lot of people claim that they didn't know that. So I put that out there. It gets a lot of attention. People were not happy with it. But then it's funny because right after that, I got some messages behind the scene that inside, quote unquote, the Beltway, it's been very well known that she was not alive for quite a while. Now, the speculation is that she was gone in like 2019, right? Now, why is this important? A couple different things. I did not have a chance to look, but with her being gone, you obviously know the president will now get. Now, they're going to say, will he go for a nomination before the election? And you know damn well he's going to. You know he's going to like push this hardcore, and he's going to try to get somebody in. You are about to watch a absolute circus between now and the election, because he's going to pick a nominee, and then they're actually going to start the process of confirmation. And this is going to be like, if you thought you needed sports the rest of the year, or you needed movies or television, you do not, because this is going to be an absolute publicity circus. And I wouldn't doubt if the Democrats, the liberal left, attempts to somehow form an impeachment. They're doing everything they can to figure out a way to get him out. And this will be the same way. So let me actually look up here, because I was not going to be doing this originally, because we had a different plan tonight. But again, the show goes on, folks, no matter what. So currently we have the Supreme Court justices. We have John Roberts. We have Clarence Thomas. RBG is out now. We have Stephen Breyer. All right. We have Alito, Sotomayor, Kagan. We have Gorsuch, Kavanaugh. Let's see. Okay. And okay. One, two, three. We had four. If I count correctly, we had four liberal judges compared to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So this now will swing it. If he gets the person nominated, we will swing it 7-4. Now, somebody's saying Ted Cruz was nominated. Ted Cruz said he didn't want to become one. He actually prefers the congressional side of actually battling back and forth with the law and everything else. This would swing it to, if he gets somebody in, which he will get a 7-3 voting if it goes conservative, obviously. This changes everything, completely everything. the gloves are literally off. Now, this is the thing that I want to bring in. This is the fascinating part about this. Now, if we go forward, right, with everything that we think and what Jason Q has said, and by the way, I'm not mad at Jason Q. He just his network is down. What I'm going to do actually is I am going to probably buy him a new computer, and I'm going to send him a new modem, and I'm going to send him all the parts he needs to be back up for this for like next week at the latest, because his information that he told me, we were talking on the way home tonight, and his information was like mind blowing, and that's all supposed to be on tonight. So I will be taking care of him to get him up and going and make sure his network is like on, because that's what's got to happen. Okay. But keep this in mind. I said months ago that it was very possible that if if President Obama was found to be an ineligible president, his whole everything he did for 8 years, from my understanding, would be gone. Now, that also means, speculation here, that would mean that his justices would also be gone. Now, I would like to say that I know what would happen and how this would all go down, but I do believe, obviously, that's never happened before. So we have the opportunity possibly, and remember I said I don't know how this is going to happen. I was trying to figure out how this would all go down. Well, how it would go down is you remove every single liberal judge from the Supreme Court because they're ineligible. If you have an ineligible president, everything is swiped out, including the laws, including Obamacare. That's the intensity of what could be happening. So this is no small thing, and by the way, when I posted that she was gone, my intention is not to disparage the death of anybody. At the end of the day, humans are humans. However, when I'm even told by people within the congressional world that it's known in DC that she probably hasn't been around for a while, we're dealing with a political system that is a train wreck, meaning that, yes, they use clones. Yes, they use CGI. They use insane stuff to keep the public completely asleep all the time. All right. So is this shocking? You know why it's shocking? It's not shocking because it's not believable. It's shocking because, quite simply, the majority of the public has no idea that this has ever been going on behind the scenes. And quite honestly, if you don't believe something's going on at this point, like, we're no longer the conspiracy theorists. You know who the conspiracy theorists are? They're the people out there who think that nothing is actually happening behind the scenes. They think that, oh, hey, we're still in a pandemic. It's still really quiet out there. This mask thing's going to take a little bit longer because, we're going to go to the second wave. And those are the conspiracy people. They're the ones who think that nothing is going on and this is just status quo. The realists know that thing behind the scenes are a little strange, right? This lady has probably been gone for a while. And how else do you roll this out? I mean, what are the chances, other than 2020, as quote unquote the storm is approaching? What are the chances? I mean, we talk about coincidences. We talk about the Q stuff. We talk about what are the chances. The coincidences that Ruth Bader Ginsburg goes 2 weeks before the October before the largest election of our lifetime. That's at what point, as they say, do the coincidences stop? At what point do people go, you know what? There's probably something to this whole thing. Your government was stolen from you, was taken from you, not last year, not 4 years ago, not 8 years ago, not even 50 years ago. Your government was stole from you several hundred years ago. And quite honestly, you've been being ruled for probably thousands of years. I keep going back to it. We broke from the monarchy, right? And it's so funny. Jason and I were talking earlier about this new king of England or whatever it is in Halford. I don't know what the name was, right? So when that first came out, I was like, that's weird, right? And then as it's coming out more and more, it's a complete hoax and scam and whatever. I don't know. You have to remember, folks, do you want freedom as our founders broke away from the monarchy? Or do you want to be ruled over? Because at the end of the day, guess what? We're not to be ruled over. The Queen of England was not elected to any public office ever. The Queen of England stole all of what they had. They plundered and raped villages. Yes, Gregory Hallett. Thank you. Gregory Hallett is not legit. There is no new King of England. It's not real. And quite honestly, I actually heard, I read this morning on Anna Van Wright's website that she said Russell Gould is not even a legit thing. And I'll tell you, I've been wanting to interview some of these people, but something held me off of going after those people. Now, I'm not saying I know for sure. I'm going off of Anna Van Reitz is great. And I tend to trust what she says. Now, there's other people that say it's legit. I don't know. But yes, we are not to be ruled over. You and I need to claim our lives back freedom-wise. Now, speaking of freedom, how about medical and health freedom? All right. How about medical and health freedom? We are not to be ruled by a monarchy. We are not to be ruled by a king. We are not to be ruled by anything. We are supposed to have, give me liberty or give me death, Patrick Henry. You have to remember your legacy as an American. You have to remember your legacy as a patriotic individual. Your legacy is that of freedom. And as the president said, both at Mount Rushmore, but also at his acceptance speech, we are supposed to be living up to our legacy as free patriots who have gone forward across the country and across the world to claim freedom and create and do amazing things. Now, medical and health freedom. Did anybody see Dr. Atlas? I think it was yesterday, maybe. Did anybody see what Dr. Atlas happened to say, by the way, regarding Operation Warp Speed and vaccines? Did anyone see what he said? Well, he said that they're planning on rolling out 100+ million vaccines going into the first quarter of next year. All right. But then he said vaccines will not be mandatory and they will not be forced vaccines. That's not what this is about. So everybody out there in comment land right now who is concerned about the vaccine, Dr. Atlas said yesterday, the intent of the government is no one will be mandated and no one will be coerced or forced. All right. Now, not that we're going to take it anyway. I'm just letting you know what they actually said. He said, no coercion, no force. That is not what will occur. So I want everyone to stop panicking a little bit about that. Okay. And what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to do some questions tonight, because I know a lot of people like to do questions, and we're literally freewheeling it tonight, because guess what? I didn't have any content. We're just going to go for it because I thought Jason's stuff was going to be good. It had worked earlier, but that's life. So as I said before, the show goes on. All right. That's why we're talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg tonight a little bit, and talking about how this thing most likely is going to roll out. So stop panicking about the vaccines. Now, I have also heard that the vaccines were actually brought in as a code word for them possibly taking out the deep state. All right. Oh, yeah. And somebody asked me who Dr. Atlas is. So Dr. Atlas was actually the guy who seemed like he's taken over for Fauci. And he's also the one that said, you know what, we should really follow the herd immunity mindset, which is, let people out, let people roam around, let this naturally spread if it's out there. And actually, let's build up our proper human immunity, because that's actually how life is supposed to work. So I'm not all for Dr. Atlas, but I'm liking what at least he says regarding medical freedom, regarding the vaccine, if that's indeed what it is, or is the vaccine code word for taking out deep state as we go through? Because keep in mind, there's deep state governors, there's deep state people in your city council. I mean, they're just corrupt. There's deep state Senate and Congress. All right, now Jason Q has doubled down on the fact that October 3rd, there will be, I don't know if it'll be a public announcement regarding the resignation or it'll be behind the scenes, but he's still saying that's when President Trump does his deal. Now, I'm also going to tell you that I do believe, and I don't want you to panic on this, I do believe that we will go through another lockdown, most likely in October. All right. Yeah, somebody said Trump said gold standard today. He did say gold standard regarding the vaccines, which was interesting. So I do think we will go. I do think we're going to go with a lockdown. I think a lockdown will probably happen. I don't see how it's not going to, because that's what's going to happen. I don't see a way around it. And I also think they need everyone to be safe while stuff goes down, because again, you're probably going to have some chaos. All right. I don't see how we're going to get around that. Okay. Let's see here. So what I want to do. All right. What I want to do is I want to do a little Q&A tonight. All right. A little Q&A, because obviously we're freewheeling it tonight. And so I'm going to look to see if there's anything going on. Ask me your questions and I will answer to the best of my ability as I can. All right. Yeah. So guys, I don't see any way around the lockdowns. And that's what I'm reading is lockdowns are probably, I didn't say I want them to happen, and I'm not guaranteeing they happen. I'm just saying they probably could happen. All right. Because, and I even talked to Jason tonight, and Jason said, yeah, he thinks that they will happen. There's going to be a second wave. You know that, right? There's going to be the flu vaccine, and something else is probably going to trigger the next phase of this. Just be ready. I know that people don't want to hear that, but that's probably going to be okay. Let's see. Yes. Okay. I'm looking at some of the people regarding the tech issues. Yes, I understand. We were working on the tech issues for Jason. Yes. I have heard of Jordan Maxwell. I have not dove deep into his stuff, though. It's is October 3rd the setup for Nicera? I don't know for sure. Remember, I am not a full-blown 100% Nicera individual. When it comes to finance, I am a gold and silver, and yes, you'll probably have crypto. Be ready for that. And will money be taken away? At some point, they will probably transition money over. I don't know if that's going to be a triggered overnight event or if that's going to take time. I do not know. Trust me, I am studying it daily, trying to figure out the most latest inside stuff on that, and I will report to you the best I can on it, okay? Let's see. Jason Q and I talked today about the president has had several assassination attempts on him. We talked about that, but it's really got to come out of his mouth because he has the good information, and I don't retain all of it because I'm driving usually when I talk to him. Why would he step down on October 3rd? The president of the United States, so Jason Q, he might be up again. Hold on a second.
All right.
Dude, are you on a phone?
Yeah, I'm using the phone.
That's okay.
I mean, it's just gonna. I mean, it just. I don't know what they did to the computer. They zapped it or something. So we'll just have to just go old school with this. So if this thing starts moving around, I'm sorry, but
You're okay.
yeah,
We're gonna have
okay.
some fun. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right, hey, do me a favor.
Yes.
I want you to give me the best info on vaccines you can possibly get. They want to know what the hell is going on with the vaccines.
Vaccines are bioweapons. It's exactly what they are. They have been
What about
bioweaponized.
Operation Warp Speed?
Operation Warp Speed is under Donald Trump, and see, they're making all these like Star Trek references and everything like this, and with the whole Operation Warp Speed, it's pretty much like they're pushing past vaccines and onto therapeutics. So instead of finding a vaccine, why have vaccines when you can have the cure? Right? It's kind of pointless to say, oh, everybody gets vaccines. They just want to go ahead and just, push for a cure. That's why they have all therapeutics coming out now. That's why the whole hydroxychloroquine is such a big deal right now.
Okay, so can you play out for me, because a lot of people are new on tonight. Can you play out for me how Operation Warp Speed, the vaccines, and the month of October with the possible resignation, how that plays out? Do your best.
All right, so
and take your time. We have all night.
Okay, so we got. Wow, that's pretty good. So you got Operation Warp Speed. Because the thing is that what they're trying to push for is they're trying to push for a complete shutdown until after the election. Because if everybody's shut in at the election, that means they're going to have mail-in voting. What they fail to realize is they totally screwed the pooch on this. And with NESARA being announced, there are special elections, and they're actually monitored by the U.S. military. Which here comes National Guard when they're fouled in. So especially if you go in and you go, you're going to have to show a form of ID. Because if I have to show a form of ID when you buy anything, you should have to show ID when you vote. Now, with the vaccines, they're pushing hard for the vaccines because they're all tainted. They've always been tainted. It's clearly in all these documents that, and I'm sorry if people are like, flash around with all this paperwork and everything. It's like there's over 145,000 pages alone here in front of me. Can't retain it all. Doing a good enough job trying to do it, but I just want to make sure that I don't slip up and say something wrong. I want to make sure it's double checked but verified. It's right here. But with these whole vaccines, now remember, they said we're watching a movie, right? The thing is, they've already been caught. This is the second time they've been caught by the Aussies with this. Because right here is actually now this all goes back to Australian research. I think this is why they torched Australia too. Because they're really pissed at Australia because on 5/21/20, they had a forthcoming Australian scientific study that concludes that the coronavirus causing the global pandemic contains unique properties suggesting it was manipulated in a Chinese laboratory and was not the result of a natural occurrence. Now, I mind you, this was on 5/21/20. It's on Washington Post. You'd think perfectly legit. Problem is that in that 171-page document, we downloaded everything that we were showing earlier, Wednesday. The Australians, that's where they popped them back in 2009. So they popped them then, and now they're popping them again. Because it's actually right here in chapter 4 of that whole document set. His name was actually Adrian Gibbs. He was a virologist. And that's where Tamiflu and all that comes into play. They're just wanting to kill us all. It's just a mass event. They want us dead. Because that's why when they say, if America falls, the world falls. Because we have, with our Constitution, it is the longest running Constitution in the world. To date. Right. And especially yesterday being Constitution Day, everything you see everything just start happening. Because it even goes down to, I mean, even in these documents, even in those documents, in 2009, you even see the judge, Emmett Sullivan, the one that's on the
go
Flint.
go into that. Yeah, go into that.
Now the thing is that what he did was that goes back to 20. Like I said, there's so much to this, and you just don't want to mess up, right? So what they did is that's why I call them two. Now back in 1976, they had an issue. Right here. Okay. So what this has in here in the document, right? Now, when you start talking like 5-5 and everything, now there are rights of Americans that are expanded under the 5 articles of the Declaration of Rights, written in July 4th, 1776. Okay. Now, there's an official title to this document. Okay. The official title is the Unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. 13 angry Democrats. If you think about it. So it's like, this is nice. So here they are. Okay. The first one is all men are created equal. Second, all men are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Third, governments are instituted among men to secure these unalienable rights. Fourth, governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. So they get their powers from our consent. So if you're happy walking around with a mask, so be it. They're happy with telling you got to do it. But when you say, you know what, right there, they can't do anything about it. All these stores, you walk into a store, it's like I went to a Home Depot and had a beautiful Karen moment with one of the managers there. And she's like, well, just come on this way. You don't have a mask. I'm like, I don't need a mask. You know, you don't have to have one. And she's like, well, I'm like, call the police. It's as simple as that. I mean, seriously, because right there you've got them. Because there's no law. It's constitutionally, I mean, they're breaking so many of your constitutional rights by even having you wear a mask.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, all it's doing, it's symbolism. They're silencing you. That's all they're doing. Because unless it's a half-face respirator that is fit tested, that is and with the canisters match, that is the only way that you will be protected from viruses. And guess what? Viruses don't spread. Germs do. Viruses don't. So now what? I mean, and then we could talk about October 3rd.
Take us to the judge first.
Okay, now, we could finish this, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. That was the 4th because there's 5. Now the 5th. Remember, like D5. 5th. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it.
Correct.
Alter or abolish. Instead of being sissies and, but the thing is, remember, we're watching a movie. So it's like, we have our job to do. We know that because that's why they can go into Portland and knock it out in 20, 30 minutes, make sure it's, all set. It's like we have to learn. Everybody's worried about this. It's like, sit back and learn. Because there's so many different ways that this thing spiders out. It's like everybody's worried about, like, the whole JFK Jr. Like, we can go into that next week where we have it mathematically impossibly broke down that there's no way that he's dead. I mean, even down to the man that works for USC that did all the aeronautical investigation on it. He's somebody's brother.
So
you'll know who it is.
So Emmett Sullivan.
Judge Emmett Sullivan in 2004, he issued a temporary injunction saying that the Pentagon's compulsory vaccination of military personnel against anthrax was illegal. Now, the thing is that he did this twice, right? He brought this down twice. Now, this other one, I did the dig on my own, and it's called stare decisis, stare decisis, or something like that.
Yep.
So, since he went ahead and said no here, that means that if it came up again, he cannot change his mind. He can't say, "Oh, these are fine," no problem. And it's so just.
So basically, his ruling, from my understanding, was it's actually involved with the fact that they can't force or push this vaccination on anybody, and because the military is involved.
Yes. Well, and it's unconstitutional. I mean, that's it. As soon as it's unconstitutional, that means it's illegal across the board.
Right.
Remember, law and order. We are a land of laws.
Yes. And actually, Dr. Atlas came out yesterday or today and made a statement saying, like, hey, this vaccination will not be mandatory. It is not coercion. It's not forced.
Yeah. And that's why I said, is like, they said that there would be enough vaccinations available for everyone if they wanted to take it. But the thing is that it's an if. It doesn't mean that, well, my child has to be vaccinated or else he doesn't go to school. Guess what? You don't take him to school. If we've learned anything from this, it's that we've gone through the system, the education system. We understand that it's gotten worse down the Democratic end because we're a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy. That's it.
Right.
It's the whole communism, the Romans, the Jesuits, the Masons. They're all forcing. It's like they're putting one big chokehold on the U.S. because they want to get World War III started. They want carnage, death incarnate, everything. Because you're fighting the invisible enemy, which is Satan. I mean, this is a spiritual war. They've told us from day one, and whether the whole demonic deal is just a bunch of archons, which are, the most evil of just beings, just entities, and they run around possessing people.
Right. Now, question for you real quick regarding the Constitution, because we're constitutionally protected. However, we also know that there's two constitutions. Does that affect it in a negative way?
Well, there's a Declaration of Independence, and then there's U.S. Constitution.
Well, no,
US
Constitution. 1871. Two constitutions.
Yeah, with the 1871, the Act of 1871, or the Constitution.
Yeah.
We revert back to the other one because this being under a corporation under the 1871. Now, here's the big thing about that. Now we'll talk about all these dues and how California's burning and everything. And this is going to suck to hear from a lot of people, but you have to look at it from when it was founded. The militaries, right? Now, you have the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, right? The Air Force was founded in the 1950s, early 1950s. So was it founded under the Republic, the Constitutional Republic of the United States? No. It was founded under the corporation.
Oh, that's right.
So the thing is that now
you have Washington, D.C. is the military, you have the Vatican, and you have London. Oh, good point.
And the thing is that there was an election in 1876. It was between Rutherford B. Hayes and I don't know who the loser is because remember, we don't dig losers. That's we just don't.
The winners write history.
Winners write history. That's why we got all the statues inside. That's it. So what happened was that it was so close of an election that Rutherford B. Hayes was a Republican, and they went ahead and said, well, then we'll make this concession. We'll go ahead and Hayes will take the presidency, and then the Democrats will go ahead and take the Congress, So the Army did not like this.
Because they were the original, right? The Army was
Yes.
original.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Go
the
ahead.
Army turned around and they said that they will not serve under a Republican government, which is under the Republic. So that made them, now this was 1876. Now remember, 1871 was the Act of 1871. So technically now the Army, instead of being, you know, covering the 50 states, they are now federal. That is why we have the National Guard. You have the National Army and then the Air Force, National Air, because they represent all 50 states.
Yes.
And that's where it goes. That's where the whole posse comitatus, it went further. It's like you could, bring that up, but it's like if you went a little bit further, it starts going into that, and it just turns into a whole snowball.
Dude, okay, now take me through, because I know people are panicking about this, and I was talking to you earlier about it. Take us through what's probably going to happen from October 3rd till, say, December 21st. You don't have to go like day by day, but the general, what's going to unfold in front of us, especially now that freaking Ruth Bader Ginsburg is supposedly dead.
Oh my God, is that? I mean, how many times can we celebrate Woody Allen's death? I mean, seriously, you can only do it so many times. It's like, God, and then to think that they're saying that she had that prostate cancer. It's like,
pancreatic
cancer. Well, and then they said she had prostate cancer too. I'm like, which one is it? I'm like, now pancreatic cancer, from what I've heard, and cancer's not funny, but they created it. Pancreatic cancer is supposed to be the most painful.
It's the worst.
So it's like you see people in brutal pain, but then you have, good old RBG coming up, and she's still making it. I'm like, come on, man. No. It's just.
So from now till December 21st, how does this roll out?
All right. So, and this is just, I mean,
I know we got you.
Educated opinion. So,
yep.
All right. So you're going to have the whole president, they're going to use the P's, right? Because remember, they're talking, because it all boils down to the whole football, right? Talked about Big Ten, right? And he's like, oh, Big Ten, we want to get football going again, everything like that. That's fine. But then he's like, well, then we're going to start working on the Pac-12, which, okay, well, that's fine. See, Trump's got a really, really, really big chip on his shoulder with the NFL. Huge. And he's getting his revenge. They're slitting their own throat. It's a beautiful thing. So, what he's essentially doing is you have he's doing a countdown. I mean, he's legitimately counting down through symbolism all the way down to right before beginning of October. Because beginning of October, you're going to go ahead and have the switch. Right? You're going to have the whole because they're going to have a lock-in. We're going to have a lockdown, and they're going to tell us what happened. They're going to explain, then when they say like the internet kill, Facebook kill, YouTube kill, and we're going to be able to go on TV and watch the trials, the 9/11 trials, from what I understand. And those are from the military tribunals from Guantanamo Bay. And there's your truth. I mean, they're taking the whole Mockingbird media and everything like that. They're getting rid of it. And it's like, we want the truth. So it's like, everybody, you guys have to sit down and just listen to the truth. Because still to this day, if people believe that planes even hit the buildings, it blows my mind. I mean, it does. So
okay.
So they're gonna have that. They're gonna have about 10 days. Of which case, we're gonna learn what happens there. Then they could roll out Nasera.
Okay,
right?
But before Nasera, let me ask you a quick question because I want to clarify this. Okay, and we have all the time in the world, so we're gonna go through this nice and slow so people understand it.
Yep.
Define nice and carefully what the Big 10 and Big 12 mean, because you described this earlier. It's code for the countdown of the weeks, correct?
Countdown actually to the beginning of. Okay, so you have the Big 10. Okay,
Yep.
now it's all about football. Remember, it's a game.
Yep.
Now the Big 10 in football, how many teams do they have?
Was
They
it
have
14 now?
14 teams. Yes, so they have 14 teams. Now, said he's going to work on the Pac-12. Where was his last two rallies? The last yesterday's was it
Wisconsin.
started with M, but it was in Wisconsin. It started with M,
Yep.
and then in Minnesota tonight,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So that's M. So that's 13. Then you have Pac-12, right? Then you have 11. So it's like they're like instilling like starting a countdown.
So
Right?
they're counting down from 13, 12. It'll be down to obviously 0.
Yeah, it's going to get to 0. And I believe that 0, and I saw this in a couple spots, so I don't know if it's just totally true, but on 10/17, there's supposed to be a rally in Dallas where a certain someone is going to come out and like a reveal of sort, you know?
Yep.
And the thing is that it would, because remember when they say 11, 11, 18, they talk about a big parade.
I'm not. I don't want to interrupt you, but I have a couple friends that I talk to this stuff about, and we have all said the same thing. If JFK or JFK Jr. walks his happy ass out there on October 17th, consciousness is going to take an immediate rise and people's heads are going to explode.
Especially in Dallas, no less.
In Dallas.
Yes.
So
It's like,
I've been skeptical the whole time. I'm like, I'm 50-50. I'm just saying, though, if it happens, holy crap.
they have to remember, you can't tell people, you got to show them, you know. And by then, it's like people will understand, everything that's happened to us, that it's all been lies. So then, what better way to roll out somebody's vice presidency bid than having it introduced by his father?
So in the next couple weeks, we have now the search, or not the search, the naming of the new Supreme Court justice, which will take into it a circuit. It's going to be a freaking circus the next month on this thing. And then he or she goes to Senate hearings, but then October 3rd, it will probably be a behind the scenes resigning, not necessarily public. You and I talked about this offlines. It'll probably be behind the scenes, where then also, take me through this part, other people in Congress will also have to resign, and there will be alternatives. Tell me about that.
Yeah, all people in Congress. And I was speaking with a friend tonight, and she's like, "Hey, did you hear that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, who do you think?" She's like, "Because she's a big Trey Gowdy fan," which is understandable. I mean, honestly, great guy. And I was like, I think it's going to be Amy Coney Barrett, because it's the one Indiana girl that she adopted the special needs children and everything. I mean, she is just a perfect person. But the thing is that it has to be approved in front of the Senate before the election, so that there can't be a tie. So it can't be a
Right.
4-4 tie.
Right.
So it's almost like, and then I thought about, like, you know what? I think you're spot on. With Gowdy. Gowdy would be a perfect pick, because he was talking about Ted Cruz earlier. Trump was.
And Ted Cruz said he didn't want it.
Yeah. Thing is that, he's a senator now. So actually taking a vote away. So,
Yeah.
I mean, well, you don't want to do that.
It would be bad
So
strategy.
Gowdy would be the perfect fit, because you have 3 more picks. Because Kagan, Sotomayor, and Roberts are all going. Kagan, Sotomayor, because they were underneath Obama.
Yep.
And his presidency is being nullified. That means they got to go. And Roberts, well, he is one of the most treasonous.
That's right. I forgot about Roberts.
Justices.
Yeah, Roberts is not staying.
No, no. He is going, and he is going to get one of those. So,
Oof.
and it's well deserved. Well deserved.
Okay.
And there might even be more. Who
So
knows?
that happens. You start
Yes.
having people being taken out. Now, I feel the same way about Nasera and Jacera as I do JFK Jr. I'm neutral on this. I know you're fully behind it, and I understand where you're coming from, but I have the left brain, right brain working here. So what you then would see would be Nasera installed behind the scenes, correct?
It's actually being implemented all the time, the whole time. I mean, you
So
have
when would he announce it?
he will not announce it.
Okay, how
Remember,
does that roll?
he will be resigned. Um, I'm not sure who is going to be able to announce it, but there will be an announcement, like a an official announcement of for Sarah. Now, whether it's one of the Marine generals that mentioned it, whether it's General Flynn, whether it's, I mean, even Junior. I mean, somebody will have to,
It would have to be someone probably
come here.
unifying, right? Someone unifying, someone who's just like, because it's got to, if that's true, it would have to be a very positive announcement. Because also, I mean, if RBG didn't already win the election for him, I mean, he's already going to win the election. But like all this stuff leading up to it, they're all trump cards. Like this is an overwhelming win. But Nasera also, the elections are redone, or would it
Well,
be November 3rd?
yeah, it'd still be November 3rd because it has to be within 120 days.
Okay.
But the thing is that people are like, well, how can the other side find it? It's like, okay, so what you're saying is that you're worried about finding somebody to run against someone who has eliminated the IRS, eliminated the Fed. In his 4 years, they've eliminated a child trafficking, a human trafficking. Just, I mean, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's beyond a nightmare, and stopped all of this, all while not earning a dime. Remember, he's donated all of his money back. His family donated money back, and all they've done was help us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would love to see a show of hands that would love to run against that man.
No, nobody. And I
I
have
mean,
to make
Ray Charles could see that.
Now, I have to
You know?
say, because I'm getting comments, Jason. I did not say I didn't believe Nasera Jacera. I just said that I'm a bit of a skeptical person, and I'm kind of like 50-50 on it. And that's why I have Jason on here, because I believe it's a possibly great idea. I just, again, the way I look at it. But so now that's unleashed. He wins November 3rd. What happens post November 3rd? Because I can't imagine the Democrats are going to be happy about this.
What Democrats?
Oh, that's right. So they're all swept out.
I mean, honestly, if you think about it, when they said red tsunami, they weren't kidding. I mean, people really think that because a lot of this is CIA just mind control. A lot of these people that are out west, a lot of mind control.
Okay, so now my next question is, I have a few different ones tonight. My next question
Ask
is,
away.
this is what Dr. Dean is very concerned about. I'm not concerned about the vaccine. I think that's ridiculous. This is my only concern at the end. And then we'll go into some cool, like, deep stuff because everyone loves that. But my biggest concern is that Trump is a possible Zionist, and I have defined this term a billion times. When I say that, as you talked about earlier with me on the phone, people are not defining anti-Semitism versus Semitism. They're not defining the words. But my biggest concern, because I will be honest with you, I did not like the key being handed from Trump to Netanyahu the other day. And so that's my biggest concern, is this is a possible setup for the continuation of Zionist Israel, not Israelites. I would love for Israel and Palestine to just freaking get along and get all this warmongering out of the way. But tell me how I am wrong, because I'm happy to be wrong about this.
Well, the thing is, having Israel and Palestine get along right now, I mean, there's just one big problem with this. Because that wasn't Israel's land. That land was stolen, during this whole Balfour Declaration. And this whole deal was all hashed out with England and Switzerland, those two that is where all of the corruption, all of the evil, it just lies. It lies in the monarchy because they were Nazis. And the thing is too, is that, like we were talking about, like the Ashkenazi Jews.
Yeah.
And when they were all thrown out of Israel and Judea, like way back, when they had the United Kingdom of Israel and Judea, they all split up. They were all sent to all points on the earth. And the Ashkenazis, where they resided, was just west of the Rhine River in Europe. Now, what country is the Rhine River in? It's in Germany. So it's like all these people, they were in Germany, but they were Jews. Remember, it's a religion. It's not a nationality, right? So all of these Jews that were all expelled, they all took up spots in other places of the world and like started to bring up all these other hateful groups in order to, it's like a whole Masonic Brotherhood deal. Because we can even go back and look at Saudi Arabia, for instance. I mean, it even has Mecca there, but they're not even Arabs. They're not Arabic.
Right.
They're Jewish. And so you have political Zionism and the Arab states, which is Islam. They are supposed to destroy one another to kick off World War III under Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini. Because the other two wars, World War I and World War II, they went off perfectly. And the thing is, if those two went off perfectly, the third one, and the letter that he wrote, it was on display in a British museum, but it was taken out of there in 1977. Now they're saying, oh, the letter never existed. Well, why is that? Well, in 1979 is when they started the whole plan of World War III.
Okay.
Because there was a military city built in Saudi Arabia called King Khalid Military City. Okay. What this place actually is, it's a cloning center. It is a massive cloning center. So what they've been doing is that, and that opened in 1979. Now, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers built it. And there was somebody responsible for the building of it as well. His name is Peter Stokes Sr. That name sounds familiar, right?
Yep.
Because Peter Stokes, Peter Stokes Jr., of course, with
You're right. We know him
over here. But his uncle was also a Jesuit priest in Africa. So it's like they're all Jesuits. They're all tied in because the Jesuits, they came up with communism. And this whole creation that they're trying to do is they're trying to, kick a hornet's nest, because there was 2,500 years of peace in Iran because it was Persia, Iran, and that's where, Trump comes in also, being King Cyrus, that it's like in 1979 is when the Shah was overthrown. So what they were doing was they were building an army, to go and just, overtake places. Well, this clone's been getting out of control, to say the least. because I have no problem with other nationalities or anything, none at all. But has anybody ever found it weird that for a group to be so abusive towards women
Mm,
that you rarely see anyone pregnant, but yet there's like, you know, millions of them that can like take over a whole continent like Europe?
right.
I mean, where did all those Muslims come from? And why is it that they like their whole mindset is just violence, rape, and just the whole reptilian mindset? Because that's your main brain. Because we all have a reptilian brain.
Correct.
That's your I mean, we're genetic procedures. That's all we are. I mean, it's gonna blow people's minds because it all goes back to how we were discussing the epic of creation, and because
Yes.
people think that it was just this whole this whole Garden of Eden, and there you go. It's like, well, it was Garden of Eden, but it was Eaden. I mean, it goes back to the whole Anunnaki, and I mean, it's just it's a truth that we're gonna have to accept. We're all extraterrestrials.
Right.
You know,
Now, before we dive into that, because I'll come back to that.
yeah.
So we are good on because I actually saw the key back to BB.
Okay,
The key that he was given was also in a crop circle. Did you see that?
I did not.
Yeah. So I can't bring it up right now, but it was also in the end of the key, the fat part of the key was also in a crop circle. So I believe that happened right around before that. So some people are saying
Nice.
the key has been given. It's basically giving Israel over to the U.S. Something to that effect.
Well, because we are the New Jerusalem.
Right.
Because
And that, yeah.
because
Go ahead.
and that's the thing. It's just we want what's best for everyone. We don't want any more wars. We want 'cause Israel is like locked and loaded with nukes and everything. I mean, from their inception, that's all they were doing. They started in Pennsylvania. They were stealing uranium from us, from Numac Corporation. And the thing is, with the uranium that they were taking, because it's a 232, I believe is the atomic number,
I think so.
and it has a specific fingerprint, like a strength and all that every yellow cake uranium would have. And they actually found that in Israel. Well, they had, because BB, he was bad, like terrible bad. So his buddies, like Raphael Etan, him and a couple other guys, they actually were here as spies taking the uranium back to Israel. Then they said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to Argentina and we're going to go get Heinrich Himmler, right? So it's like, well, that sounds like a pretty good idea, right? Well, they came back with 90 tons of yellow cake uranium from Argentina. So it's like, and where did the Nazis go after World War II? They went to Argentina.
Right.
So it's like, all right, well, that's kind of weird. But then England actually gave Israel, I forgot how much, but they gave them heavy water. I guess heavy water has to do with the whole nuclear, creation of
I've
nuclear
heard about that.
fusion, fission.
Yeah.
Well, then they gave them that because Israel's never signed up for the Geneva Convention. They've never had to sign any nuclear anything having to do with how many nukes they have, if they're nuclear capable. It's like maybe we are, maybe we aren't. But that's the Samson option. It's like they have a strike first option on us. I mean, they have like a 1.0 to 4.0. At least 4.0, because it might be 1.0, 3.0.
What does that mean?
But I think it's 4. That, like a 1.0 is like bombing, but now in like 4.0, it's more or less like computer terrorism, bioterrorism,
Okay.
things of that nature.
Yeah.
And that's all all created and devised under the Talpiot program. And
what
what
program?
that is, the Talpiot. It's Talpiot. And they actually call they say where the whole where Jesus' tomb was.
Yeah.
They call it the Talpiot tomb. It's kind of crazy. But what it is that it's a 9-year 9-year system. So the first 3 years is military, right? The second 3 years is computer hacking, computer warfare, all like the brain, the smart stuff.
Right.
Then the third 3 years is when you mix them together.
Okay.
When you're putting the military and that together, and you're coming up with things that are no good.
Right.
So that is basically where you have the Mossad. Because that's why when President Trump, when he says the whole time he's tweeting, he's like, make America great again. Or he's like MAGA or keep America great or COG or this or that. All he's doing is he's telling you, saying, hey, whenever Make America Great Again comes up, going after Israel. Whenever MAGA or CAG comes up, we're going after the Mossad. Because the Mossad, they have a specific fighting discipline. It's called Krav Maga, right? Yep. So it's like, this guy can't do no wrong. I mean, this guy's brilliant. So what they're doing is he has to go after the Mossad because you know how the whole anti-police side of it.
Yep.
Well, a lot of that is America's fault because they were sending police forces over to train with the Mossad.
Okay.
Now, if you have your police force training with terrorists, how do you think they're going to come back? Are they going to come back like serve and protect, or are they going to be like, yeah, we're just going to beat the hell out of everyone? I mean, they can instill racism, everything. They just brainwash them. I mean, just flat. I mean, and they have all the means to do it too.
Dude.
So
okay. So interesting on that. Now I want to take you into something else because I didn't quite finish this off. My apologies. And it's huge because it not only takes us into what's going to happen currently, but also it's going to take us back a little bit because people need to understand the origins of a lot of this stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you told me and you dropped this message the other day on me, which was like out of nowhere because that's what Jason Q does, by the way.
That's every day. Yeah.
He drops me
just out of nowhere
every day that I'm like, I have to go like outside for a second and go, oh, what did I get? This is mind blowing. So you sent me an image of your writing, but then also the Book of Enoch, I believe. And so I have been told, I think it was the Book of Enoch. I'm looking for it right now.
Keys of Enoch.
Keys of Enoch. Sorry. I have been told that there is a storm after all this, and the storm is possibly December 21st-ish, around the winter solstice. And so you told me that we might have quite the event on the winter solstice or somewhere around it. And I was also told by Dr. Drew, the crop circle guy, that he also believes around December 21st, there's going to be some sort of event. And you called it something like the flood. Do you recall that? You don't have it on you?
No, that's what I'm looking for.
It's okay. It's okay.
I mean, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
I'll refresh your memory. Okay.
Please do. I'm
refreshing your memory, and I could even bring this up. Is that okay?
You can do it. Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you like. I mean,
I know I can.
Bring it up. I mean, I was gonna say, I'm like, I can't stop you.
I'm gonna bring it up so they can see it, and I'm gonna show them what this means. Okay.
Yes.
Now, the first one I'm gonna show them is the world map 10 centuries ago, and it said, and you said, yes. Why would this? You said what does this have to do with 33 degrees? And it's
Yes.
the flat Earth map with a lot of land around what we think is the world.
Yeah, the Merkaba, wheels within wheels,
That is correct.
and how Trump would talk about, even after 1,000 years, you're still gonna have walls and you're still gonna have wheels.
Right.
And the thing
Now,
is that when
go
it
ahead.
says 10 centuries, now when it says 10 centuries, 10 centuries is 1,000 years. And in this article, if you look to the far right in the column, they talk about a great storm, right?
Yep.
Well, the thing is that when you look at this map, and I'm trying to, this is kind of weird doing it on the phone, but
All right.
when you see the map and you see the circles, right?
Yes.
Well, you have the wheels within wheels, where the sun and the moon would rotate around and everything in a circular motion, and then you have the wall, which is the ice wall. But then
Yep.
outside of it, there's other land masses, right?
Right.
Well, problem is that when you count all the land masses, there are 33 land masses.
Yes.
I mean, it's so when they do go to Antarctica, where are they really going?
Right.
I mean,
Where are they going?
it's not, yeah, because the thing is that when you think about it, it's like a compass. It has a north and south pole. Well, when you're in the southern hemisphere and all that, it still points magnetic north. And
Right.
it's like, well, why? And there was a YouTube thing with having to do with Mercator and this, I think Thomas Dee, and this was like a long
Okay.
time ago. I believe in the 1500s. And he spoke of when he was voyaging and everything like that. He found this big hole where all the water was like going in a circle and it was dropping down in the ocean, mind you. Then he found like this massive black stone with like absolutely no moss on it or anything, but it was magnetic. And it's like in the 1500s, I'm like, hey, this guy's smoking something. But now you think about it, it's like, well, there's got to be something, because there's a reason why, why is a globe so much easier for people to accept than a flat Earth? Well, a globe signifies that you have explored every possible area in your, of where you live. When it's flat, has anybody explored every single place on Earth? No.
Right.
And the thing is that why is that such a benefit to the elite? Well, they could easily say, well, here's their little hiding spot, or that's where they have this, or they could all just go here. And there's places that we just don't know of, and if there's places we don't know of, there's entities we don't know of. We don't know who's all here. But to say that it's just human beings that are here, it's like, I find that to be just completely odd. Because if it's not like we just popped out of nowhere, we had to come from something,
Correct.
and
Correct.
a genetic procedure it's it. I mean, it's just, people are just gonna have to accept. Of course they don't have to accept it, but I don't think they have a choice, because this whole thing, we earned our immortality, is what happened, because we're biologically immortal entities, and that's what they didn't want us to know.
Interesting. And tell
And we have
me,
the document for that too.
what's that?
And we have the documents for that too.
Yes. Now, before we dive into that stuff, I have up here the Keys of Enoch, the 3 paragraphs. Tell us what you believe is going to happen on these days in December, most likely. Remember the
I
flood?
wear glasses.
So remember, so you told me
I'm
flood,
trying to think here.
and it's gonna take
Well,
15 minutes.
oh. The thing is that okay with this. Okay, now number one, the book, the Keys of Enoch, the Book of Knowledge. Okay, it is at www. I mean, we could put up a link, right? It's
Yeah.
www.keysofenoch.org. And let me see. I could well, I don't know how to send it to you, um, but that book, it was sent to me as a gift, right? And they also sent me a steampunk rabbit, which is right here, which is probably the coolest thing ever.
There's the Keys of Enoch. I have it. Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's just because I mean, it's almost like I was like automatic because I just kept on going because I just didn't sleep or you know, it's almost like you found your purpose and you just go with it. So in that book, and the thing is that if I had it in front of me, it would help me out a lot more. But I think it's inside and grab real quick.
Now people are gonna get mad at us today night because I brought this up and they're all gonna be freaked out about new agey stuff, dude.
You know what? Give me 1 second. Go ahead.
Yes. Oh, well, there we go. So let me give you what I think he kind of told me the other day about this so that he can do his time over there and get that done. So I'm going to totally bastardize this because he told me in much more in-depth detail. But my understanding was that they will. Oh, you're back. Good. I didn't have to explain.
Yep. All right.
Fire away.
All right. See, now this book, as you can see, it has been thoroughly looked through. So I know it gets crazy. So the thing is that when they talk about keys, right? Now, this is hands down one of the most technical books I've ever read.
Okay.
But it is the
I'm gonna
most.
buy one. I'm gonna buy one while you talk.
It is the most. I mean, honestly, I think this is the book that pretty much pushed me over the edge. That had me just understand a lot more of this because it has like the whole office of the Christ.
Yep.
It's all in here. They have a. I mean, this is just they talk about your consciousness, the pyramids, the electromagnetic field. It's the whole technical side, like the scientific side, and it's just amazing. And they actually tell us what's happening. In key 118, it's like what are keys used for? To unlock doors. To unlock information, right? And it says right here, a divine plan has been issued to balance the earth's and man's violation of the cosmic law of light and love. Now it's because of atomic energy. Now they
Yep.
talk about these councils and Yahweh and like the whole populations, and it talks about now. It's all new. It's all numerical. They have charts and everything, but there's one. It's now, of course, it's number 23. And it says, "For behold, the field is white and ready for harvest. And when you give your life to the harvesting on this planetary station, a greater ionization becomes your body, and your new body of light is connected with the galactic thresholds of the house of many mansions, which is the deliverance of all manner of flesh."
Whoa.
Yeah, it gets pretty deep. But that's why they took out the whole book of Enoch out of the Bible.
Wow.
Because if you notice, they took all that out. It's like, well, how were these guys living 900 something years, 700 something years? And you got us, it's like, man, I just hit 60. It's like, yeah, you'll be dead in 2 years. It's like, this sucks. I mean, they've knocked us down so much that, they just put us back as slaves.
Right.
Because,
Dude,
yes.
that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, it's a lot bigger things here. I mean,
So,
I mean, they even
so
talk about how China is first in here. I mean, they're calling the shots right now. Like this book, like right here. In fact, it's in key 113, right?
yeah,
They said key that the whole Kavanaugh hearing, right? 11.3.
yep,
Now, when you look at 11.3, right, which was 113, what letter is Kavanaugh? It's K, right?
yeah.
K is 11, right? Let's look at number 11, shall we? Further, it says, this is the beginning of our final phase, when China shall receive nemesis upon nemesis, for she had turned against the lords of light, who were once in the Tarim Basin and the great spiritual masters of ancient China, who taught of the worlds to come. I mean, they're talking about like all the floods and earthquakes, and it's like, well, saw that happen. I mean, it all happened too. I mean, remember when the lights went out and what was it? Was it 3 o'clock in the afternoon? I mean, it was
Yep.
completely dark. So, um, let's see, number 15. He who created the earth will set up column upon column of fire and supersonic winds, and the sacred regions of the Tarim Basin will be cut off from both lands of Russia and China like the tortoise shell of light. As the earth passes into its final phase, a boomerang effect of hot neutral matter will cause a great fluxing of sediments and shake the wings of the dove that mark the continent of the New Jerusalem. And when they have Jerusalem, the USA is capitalized in the middle of it. And then it says, out of the continental rupture and shifting, a great bridge of land will rise out of the Pacific towards the south, and a great bridge of land will arise out of the Atlantic in the areas of the equator. Bridge one, bridge two. Eh, see,
I'm sitting over here stunned.
it's it is. I mean, it really changes your mind on a lot of things, pretty much everything, because we've been brainwashed. I mean, we're way more advanced than this.
So they're gonna flood this damn thing, and then they take us up a little bit.
Oh yeah, we'll be already taken up. Like they say, are you ready to stand? Yeah, it's gonna get a little weird. Not gonna lie, but we won't remember it. So that's the good thing. I mean, it's just
That's amnesia,
you
dude.
know, yeah. I mean, it happens. You know, I mean, but they do mean well. I mean, honestly, it's already happened. So I mean, it's all good. I mean,
It's
it,
interesting. I have people saying we're talking from a random book. Uh,
this is not this is no rand. I mean,
it,
this is when they talk about. Remember when they were giving all these codes and they made you look for books through Google? They were doing all this book search. Well, they're not just going to give you the name of the book. They hint around it. It's like knowledge is power. All this. They talk about knowledge all the time. Well, when this was given to me, I mean, it came in the mail, and I was like, oh, I mean, beyond thankful. The steampunk rabbit was beautiful. The book, I was just like, I opened it. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna set this back down. I have no idea what this is, but the binder was, off. So I was like, well, I'll get a hot glue gun, put that down, fix it. So I called her up and I thanked her, and I said, when I'm done with it, I'll go ahead and send it back. She says, no, that's your copy. I want you to have it because you'll need it. And she's like, I'm gonna go ahead and get me another copy. I'm like, oh, thank you, and it's almost divine in nature how people cross your paths because, like I said, there's no me. It's always we. I mean, we're all in this together. Everybody's in here helping one another. So for people to for the whole ego drive, it's like that's not good. You know, we're supposed to do this without ego. Because I mean, I don't see how anybody could have ego anyways with this. Because there's some rotten stuff in this. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I just don't like talking about. Like the pedo stuff and everything. It's like, okay, we understand what happened there. I mean,
Yeah, you don't need to go
that's
down the
fine. I
road.
mean, if
You
other
know
people
what it
want to
is. You
keep
don't
on
need to go
bringing that
into
up,
it.
I mean, I just, yeah,
I agree.
yeah, yeah. It's like, you know, pro PT. I'm like, it's like that's, you know, we know that, and it's like that's just, you know, that's taking us away from what we really need to learn.
Right. So
You know, it's like
we're
we
essentially
understand that, and we're gonna have a lot of work ahead to do.
yeah. So essentially we're going to be. It's almost like an ascension brought
What's
up
that? I'm sorry.
while the because also you said the planet's going to flip up technically because it's on a different axis. So we're taking up. There's going to be water. The bad is washed away. We are not harmed. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be yeah, we're gonna be taking up. Like I said, it's almost like I believe that's like the whole harvest thing as well. Well, there's a couple things that the harvest is because we found the other harvest, which that is, you know, the whole no such agency. Yeah, that's gonna get a little explosive also. But when it comes to this, it's like no, we don't have anything to be afraid of. You know, we're not evil. You know, we know who the evil people are. You know, they're shells. That's all they are. They're taken over by demonic entities, and the sad thing is that probably like 90-95% of your entertainers, your actors, Hollywood, and everything, they've all been dead. They've all been cloned and dead, and all for the business. You know, all for the brand. That's why all these sports, you know, people rave about going to sports and sporting events and everything. I mean, I love sports. I mean, I did. You know, once you start disrespecting the U.S. flag, I'm sorry, but you're gonna lose me every time on that. Every time. You know. So then when you start thinking about like how do these guys do this like day in day out like constantly, you know, it's almost like, you know, it's like growing up you practice a lot to get to where, you know, to a higher level. But then you get to a point where it's like now you have to, you know, sign your soul over, you know, make that, you know, make the money and all this, and you still don't make money. They take it from you.
Right.
You know, they
That's
hold it
their
over your
whole
head,
game.
and that's the Khazarian Jews.
Yeah. Oh,
You
by
know,
the
they're
way, Trump's not a Zionist, is what you're going to say, right?
yeah, Trump's not a Zionist.
I know we were just
Not at
answering
all.
that question from
Oh
before
yeah,
because we didn't
oh
technically
yeah.
answer it, but you're not worried about that at all.
No, no, I'm not worried about Trump at all. Not in the slightest bit. No, no. Daddy Troll Monster, he's got this. You know,
Yeah.
they're all in on this. I mean, there's a lot of people helping. Lots. I mean, this is
Who's all helping?
well. I mean,
We're late. You can say anything you want now.
well, it's not just. I mean, and I know you're like, go ahead, Josh, with that bomb. It's like, no, I can't do that right now.
No, I'm all right. That's okay.
No, uh, well, I mean, you have all the scientists, you know, that are in Venezuela, and they've been there since what 1930s. You know, you've got Marconi, Tesla, um, you got John Trump, um, all of these people that have, you know, died, you know, under strange circumstances or just, you know, there's another one that that'd probably be, you know, complete shit over get into with we talked about with the S word, with
So
yeah.
ready. So don't drop the S word, but drop the
No,
name
no,
because
yeah,
just
that one,
just
yes.
just drop the don't drop the S word. Drop the actual name because what you told me was mind blowing, and I told them for a couple weeks you were going to drop it. So just drop the name who you think is also involved in this.
L. Ron Hubbard, and 100% fact. I can honestly go with that. With as much as I've looked through and seen, the S word wasn't bad when it started.
So I'm going to
Not
stay
at
away
all.
from that. I'm going to stay away from that.
Yeah.
But you're saying that all of these people. So Marconi,
Yes.
Tesla,
Yes.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yes.
You're talking about all these spiritual people that have been ridiculed forever are the ones who are making this happen behind the scenes. And actually, hold on a second. And I want to clarify this because I've been doing some studying, right?
Yeah.
Some of these people have been vilified by the deep state cabal, and come to find out they are helping basically implode the matrix and bring us back to how we're supposed to be as spiritual individuals and how we're going to create our new world. Dude, that's mind-blowing for a lot of people.
It's there's a lot to a lot of this, and it's like because I thought this was all started on Facebook, so
Yep.
going on Twitter, it was almost like another repeat and just going over it again, and reaching more people. In which case, you know, no matter when you jumped in this or anything like that, I mean, you still are a huge part to this. I mean, this is one of the. I mean, it's even hard to comprehend that it's like one of the largest events ever recorded that will ever be recorded in the history of the cosmos. Is what's getting ready to happen right now, is what's been going on, but what we have coming up.
And I want to add something to this because I see a lot of comments and
Wait a second.
and we're late now, which is fun. No, it's okay. Oh,
No,
you're
no,
talking
no,
to somebody
but
else?
but now I can go on there and I can see comments too, because I can't see
Yeah.
comments at you. I can, but it's not like it matters.
I want
mean-
to clarify something because there's comments, and I'm telling you right now, the stuff that I've been told by Jason behind the scenes, and when Jason and I get on the phone, we talk for at least a half an hour at a time, and I believe I was divinely connected to Jason Q, and he has said the same thing because the information he has is completely sounds crazy about all the stuff we talk about. I mean, it sounds crazy, but guess what? We're in 2020, and freaking Jason Q told me 2 weeks ago or a week ago about a simulated sun. And then out of nowhere, a week later, people are seeing two suns and a strange sun in the sky. And then people are like, wait a second. Wait, this is weird. And you know what's, I want to let everyone know because this is a time for all of us to change. And I'm not saying what's true, what's not true. I'm just saying he has shown me in documents where this is. And you have been lied to for 99.9% of your life on this planet. And we are possibly most likely going through one of the most amazing moments in this life. So all I ask you to do is I've been researching it. We'll go into it later and not necessarily tonight because it is getting late and we both have to get rest. But you can turn off what you don't want to. You can listen to what you do want to. But this is the moment for all of us to reclaim humanity and move forward. So the things you hear, the names you hear, guess what? Welcome to reality. Not everyone was who you think they were, and not everything is what you think they were. And the biggest enemy right now, and I think you can agree, Jason, is this cabal in mainstream media that has literally lied to us from day one. Would you agree?
I would, and also it's just humanity itself
Right.
is its own enemy. It's like we discussed with the movie when we were talking about the Valerian with
Oh,
the
movie,
movie
yes.
back in 2017. That is some really hardcore disclosure. Really hardcore. I mean, after watching that 2 times in one day, I was like, this is amazing. And if you notice within the first 5 minutes that, when they had everybody coming off the ship and they were meeting, what happened first? It was always a handshake. Hand was out. No matter who came off the ship, as long as the hand was out, it meant peace. They shook hands and it was good to go. Now, who does that go completely against? Think about the hidden hand. Why do they keep that hand hidden? It's like, why is that? It's like they just don't, it's not like we say like no deals and all that. And there's actually a double meaning when you think about it.
Right.
It's like, well, who you going after? It's like, well, no deals. People that don't make deals. It's like people that, because handshake, that's why they want you to, wear a mask and all that. And it's like, oh, you can elbow pop somebody. It's like, elbow pop you. It's like, no, you handshake people. Because that's what people do. People hug, handshake. It's like, you're not gonna give anything to anybody. Everything's been given in vaccines and, all that. Just, it's big pharma.
Right.
Because
Dude.
all of these, the vaccines, they just weren't tested, and people were just, these doctors were forcing them on their kids. And let's face it, I mean, there are some horrible, horrible doctors out there. It's just like anything, though. You're going to have really good ones, and you're going to have really bad ones. It's the whole yin and yang with everything. So, we just want to be like, we're the force of good here. We have to step up and, become, better, just better all around with
Right.
nature, with animals, because everything has a soul. Everything has a spirit. They're just at a different level in all of us. So, it just, you see people just like, oh, kill this, kill that. It's like, there's no use for it. I mean, if you could save its life or anything like that, I mean, do it. I mean, hell, the other night, Cat caught a mouse and, heart was beating out of his chest, but it's like not going to get rid of it, so, nursed it back to the health and just let it go, outside. But
Yeah.
people are like, oh, it's like.
So I'll tell you a funny story, because you sent me the trailer of Valerian, and I watched it, and like, if you haven't seen this movie or the trailer, crazy, but it makes sense. But it's interesting thing. My wife and I, when we were pregnant with our daughter, we have a midwife, and we went to the midwife, and our midwife, phenomenal individual, but she's also very much into Native American spirituality, very, very tapped in, right? And I started talking to her about all this stuff. You're falling asleep. Wake up.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm messing with you.
This small screen sucks. I'm just like, I'm sitting here looking, I'm like, because I got the big screen up, I got the small screen, and then this one keeps on going out. I'm like, because that's the thing. It's like, right now, I have the Wi-Fi tapped in here.
That's all right. It's all right.
But then up here, it's searching for a network.
I want to mess with you. So this is my last story, and then we'll end up, because I'm tired too, because it's been a long day. But so she was telling me about the different spiritualities, and she's like, and it was connecting with everything. And then she said, and I go, what's your take on like UFOs and ETs and stuff? She goes, oh, it's absolutely 100%. And I'm like, well, what do you know? And she kind of had that look in her eye. So I was like, what do you know? And keep in mind, she's a very spiritual person. She's very God driven. She's very Christ driven, but she's also very being driven, like ascension, like consciousness, etc. And she goes, oh yeah. She goes, I when I grew up, she goes, I was on farms in the countryside, and we used to see things literally all the time, constantly. And then she said, I go, really? She goes, oh, by the way, I even knew Gene Roddenberry. And I'm like, oh, really? And she goes, guess what? Guess what about Roddenberry? And I'm like, what's that? She goes, all of that was him telling what happened to him.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Whoa.
she goes, all of these sci-fi things that you see out there, like in the movies and shows and books and everything, that shit's real.
Yeah. And that's why they have a post. It says SCIF, and it has the F in a kill box.
Right.
And people are like, oh, skip. I'm like, it's science fact now. It's not science fiction. Now you think it'd be sci-fi, but why would they drop an I? But there was somebody somewhere else that has a lowercase I. You know, because they thought it was iridium and all that. But I'm like, you know, a lot of these posts, they don't actually, some of these posts don't take place on that same very day. They just, in fact, today's a perfect day to just talk about this. So, RBG, right?
Yep.
Her death is huge in this, right? What year was she born? She was born in 1933. Yes.
Right.
So 1933 is massive in this, right? Because what happened in 1933, right? You had January 17th, 1933. That's when the United States gave the Philippines their independence.
Okay.
Even though President Hoover was against it. Now, why does that even matter? Think about the Toronto Gold Certificate. Now, what the Toronto Gold Certificate is, it was a certificate that was issued that consisted of 640,000 metric tons of gold, physical gold. And the Chinese elders had it, the Dragon family. So when President Trump went to China, to the Forbidden City, and dined with the Chinese elders. Now, mind you, no other leader has dined at the Forbidden City. First one was Trump. So it's
Right.
like, okay, yeah. Man, this guy's special. So the youngest elder, I believe, was 92. And the oldest one was like 160 something.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So what happened was that they gave him the Toronto Gold Certificate, which gave him physical, you know, it's almost like they handed it to him. You know, they handed the gold to him. They're just like, here's a certificate. It's like, now you can go get it. And they stashed it all in the Philippines during World War II to keep it out of the Axis hands. Because remember, whoever holds the gold, you know, runs the world. It's like when they talk about the U.S., it's like, well, what happened to all our gold? It's like, well, Fort Knox is empty. Ha ha. It's like, no, it's all hidden. It's all stashed. That's why in the drops early on, they're talking about the four carriers in the Pacific. You know, coincidence? You know, they're all over there getting the gold. It's the only way you're going to bring that much gold back to the U.S. is by carrier. You know, they would ask you like certain questions, like, well, what about this? What about that? And it's amazing how much that you can find when you start, like, you know, putting like other pieces together into it. And the biggest thing is going back and rereading all of the drops, because they even said in the beginning that the ending was already in the beginning. You know, it was within the first 120 drops or something like that.
Right.
So, I mean, it's so brutal that even the first text, the first tweet that President Trump did on the whole Q thing, they spoke about, you know, a bunch of hurricanes happening, and that they're talking about the GDP. That'd be a great GDP. It'd be 3.0. And it was, you know, congratulations. I think it was the most consecutive Qs in years. You know, they're talking about the quarters. But now it's like, when you look at it, it's like, well, were they? It's like, whenever he talks or anything, does he lie? No. It's just, you just take him out of context. You have to either he's figurative, literal. It's like when he's like, yeah, Joe Biden, he's shot. It's like, now look at it from both ways.
Is he
Is Joe
shot?
Biden shot mentally, or did they just? There you go. So what they
Execution?
do? Yeah, execution. Because right now you look at. I mean, let's face it. The things that this guy's doing, like playing a little, music with the
Dude,
that and the Anderson Cooper thing. Oh,
I can't believe they let him on
that,
TV yesterday with Cooper. I'm
oh
shocked.
my God, that was the greatest. I mean, come on, man. All the good sex back in San Fran. Oh yeah, it's like, oh God.
He he
And,
he he told Anderson Cooper to his face that there was gay group sex back in San Francisco, and Anderson Cooper had to stand there like he had no clue what he was talking. I'm like, what is it? Like, is this clone is literally this clone or robot or Dementia Joe is literally falling apart at the seams.
yeah, but he
Like,
did
totally, it was totally
Cooper.
inappropriate. Even if you don't like Anderson Cooper, how he stated it going up to his face was completely inappropriate for like a public television event.
But did he take it like a man or a princess? See, because Anderson Cooper, let's face it,
Yeah, it's almost like the karma's coming back.
He's a pillow princess.
Oh,
Ain't gonna lie.
well, he's also, you know what I think has actually happened with him is I think he is so MK Ultra he doesn't even know what's happening.
Oh, he's beyond evil. Because I mean, look at his brother. Kathy Griffin. That's his brother.
Brother?
Yeah, brother. Because his brother was pushed out of a window when they were kids.
Really?
Yeah, it was some sort of sacrifice. Yeah, he's a Vanderbilt.
Well, it's because it's a Vanderbilt, yeah.
And remember they had the pool.
That's the
with him tied up. Yep.
Yep.
And that's the thing. I mean, he is so like just dirty that. But the funny thing is, you have to admit, when he's talking about like 15, 20 years ago, all the bathhouses and all the sex, 24-hour sex. Like, who was the mayor of San Francisco then?
Who?
Big old Willie Brown.
Kamala.
Yes.
Kamala.
Yes.
Dude, it all comes back.
Yes.
It all
Willie.
comes back. It all comes back to.
And also, who was a mayor prior to Willie Brown? From 78 to 88.
I have no idea who.
Feinstein.
Dude,
and here's the thing with Feinstein with this.
California going to get burned off the map?
I mean, hell, they're doing a pretty damn good job of it. And the sad part is there's a lot of good people there.
Oh, it's a beautiful state, and I have tons of friends out there that I want.
And the thing is, I mean, they just, instead of burn off the map, why don't we just get the people out of there? It's like, we're just going to get everybody out of there. And I mean, we want to save as much as we can.
100%. Give me the Feinstein
and that's
thing.
The sad part.
Give me Feinstein.
Okay,
Sorry.
So with Feinstein, that was back in 78, 88. So what happened was that she wasn't even supposed to be a mayor, but there was George Moscone and Harvey Milk. She had them assassinated, killed, just stone cold, and blamed it on a cop. In which case, the cop took the Twinkie defense, which is just unbelievable. Which they proved that his blood sugar is why he supposedly killed George Moscone and Harvey Milk. But what that did was that catapulted her into as a mayor. So once this cop got out of jail, the one had dusted him off. And she started bumping elbows with people in China. And actually, she went over there, and I have the article, and I know they took it down, but I'm going to print it up, and then I'm just going to just post it everywhere, because I know I have it. She and her husband actually went over to China and had dinner in the same room that Mao died in. And then she turned around and declared San Francisco as Shanghai's sister city.
What?
It's like, yeah. Yep. It's like you find the article because it's like 404 not found, but it's like, well, we printed it. So we got it. It's in the index or somewhere like that, but I can get that for next week. But yeah, we definitely have it. Whatever we talk about, we have on paper. When they told us to
Dude.
put everything on paper, yeah.
It's right here. You just Google it.
You found it? There
Yeah.
you go.
Oh,
See? The internet's so beautiful.
yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
just it takes you everywhere. There's so much, just everything connects.
Oh my
It's just
God.
so much.
She's here it is. And
Yep.
it was even covered by the San Francisco Gate. When did she say it? I don't know when it was, but I mean it's right here. It's literally
Yeah.
it's even the San Francisco Gate, whatever that's called, covered it. Like it's my there we go.
Ugh. God damn. Scary. God. Ugh. Man.
Good Lord, dude.
Why don't
Well,
Viagra use her as a promo or something like that? Jesus.
good
Man.
Lord.
Yeah. So I
Wow.
mean, there's a lot to everything. So sometimes I understand it's hard to hard to understand me, hard to because just go off on it. It's not that I go off on a tangent or just off in just a way different direction. It's just everything's just so much to everything, and it's just like trying to have it come back in, and it's. I mean, we're trying. I mean, because I mean, this is a collective effort. I mean, this is all of us. I just I you know it's like anybody that's seen my Twitter for the past couple of days know that it's like there's been some heavy hitters going on there and saying stuff, but the thing is that we get confirmation right away. It's like the whole sun deal, you know that after the retweet and everything like that. What happened just after midnight? Well, Central Time, they came out and said, "Oh yeah, there was this, NASA confirms of a solar event or something like this." Like, just little check mark there for us. It's like all we're doing. It's nothing having to do with me or anything else. It's all of us together. Trying to looking for the truth, getting the truth, and just making sure we have it, so that when everyone's kids are growing up and everything, it's like we have one base area that we can legitimately say, here's what happened.
Right.
Because I mean, just there's going to be a lot parts to it. So I know once we get to that phase, we'll definitely need people that want to help, to go through it all. And I know I'll probably like help some just to like line it up and line it out. But after that, I mean, it's you know it's all for the learning, and everybody will have a copy. You know, so
Much appreciation, man. So I'm gonna wrap it up because I need to get some rest,
yeah,
and you need to get
and
some rest.
hopefully, I can figure out this problem on this side. Sorry about Wednesday, and earlier today. It's just I don't know what is going on with this whole uh computer. I mean, don't need a new computer at all. I mean, still, it was a terabyte. I mean, it's Mac, but when
We'll
it
figure it
comes
out.
to, yeah, I mean, it you know could be the router, could modem, could be anything.
We'll figure it
So
out. But you know what I'm really happy
that's
about?
good.
I'm happy that
What's
the
that?
night started rough, and then magically you appeared and you popped up, and it worked great, and we got a ton of content in. And as always, dude, I appreciate your help. It's so funny when I first started this, I never expected to dive down these rabbit holes. And then I divinely found Jason Q, and here we are. And this is about patriotism. This is about America. This is about the planet, though. And we literally, um, this has turned into not only saving this country, but also it's turned into really uncovering facts and truths about the fact that we've been lied to about basically everything. And not only are you, I love the fact that we can throw out radically crazy sounding things, but then there's backup to say, here it is.
Here it is. Yeah. It's like, oh no.
And
I
dude,
mean,
that is actually how you gain consciousness, which is understanding and getting truth. And even though that truth might be really hard to appreciate at first, it resonates, man. And you're like, oh my God,
yeah.
like we're on the track. We're on track. We're going to do this.
And that's the thing. And plus, others will have more information as well, and then they could put it in, and then you just see it just, all just start building, it constructs itself. And then, it's not that, I'm not saying at all there's no God. There's a God,
Right.
I mean, there's a Godhead,
Right.
there is a supreme creator of everything, of all. And when it comes to everything else, it's like everything else we've been lied to about. So wouldn't we want to like find the truth ourselves? And I understand there's a lot that that they're going to leave out. Remember they said, 20/80, 40/60.
Yeah.
Well, we could actually, because we've been dabbling in the 80 and the 60 the whole time. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we skipped by the whole kiddie pool. We just jumped right in the deep end. We're just like, screw it, we'll just start over here. And then, whoever sinks, whoever swims. We'll just try to save everyone. So, but everybody's, I mean, it's one of those things where people, and I really do appreciate the messages and just all the the positivity, because I mean, it's and I'm not one that's always busy, or because I multitask. I mean, I'd be on the phone, I do this, that. That's why doing this, it's like I just get nervous because it's just like I'm just sitting here, and it's like usually it's like mayhem. So it's like yeah, you have to, it's like okay, and it's just like I'm like, okay, is this good? Is it good? And I'm sitting here like eyes closed inside. I'm just like I just want to start tearing stuff apart and start going through everything, just because it's like a controlled chaos. It's like it's your element, and once you find
I
your element,
understand.
it's like you're just in it. So,
dude, I totally get it, and I will. This is the last thing. What may seem completely outlandish to you today, or not even known to you today. You may not even know a fact today, and then tomorrow you could be presented with a brand new fact that you have to learn and know, and you're going to go from one day not knowing something to one day knowing something about that thing. And that is literally the shift of consciousness. That's what that is.
Yeah.
And we are going into things that you didn't know out there, folks. And
Yeah.
we are just here helping you to open this up, because I will tell you also, one of the other things is the more education and knowledge you gain, the healthier you get. You actually feel better. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to be perfectly body health, because like we're both like driving ourselves like crazy, but your brain, your mind actually gets healthier, and the body will follow.
And
so
you can't, once you learn the truth, it's like everything else is just it's all backseat stuff. I mean, it's just, you just want to, it's like a drug. It's like the greatest drug ever, because you want more and more and more.
And it doesn't hurt you.
It doesn't. Not at all. I mean, it may hurt other people's feelings and all that, but hey, that's not my fault. You go to Target and get, buy 3, get 3 free if you need feelings. I'm not going to give them to you. So.
Buy 3, get 3 feelings. I mean, I'm sorry, that was fantastic.
But I mean, it's just that's just the thing. I mean, people feel like they're feeling like, look, man, I'm not your shrink here. It's like, people like, I hope you're okay. It's like, I'm fine. I mean, yeah. I mean, we will mentally, everything physically, again,
we will physically be good. We will spiritually be even better. So, rock on, dude. Thanks for being with me tonight, and you'll be back next week.
Yeah, and sorry about like all the problems, but yeah, we'll have it all ironed out, and we'll be back either Wednesday or Friday or both. We'll discuss that, and You know,
You got it.
we talk about topics then.
Let's go scour
Cool.
our Twitter. Let's go scour our Twitter feeds now.
Yeah, for hatred. Yes.
Dr.
Love
Jason
hate.
Dean, Revolution Network signing off. For Jason Q, I am Dr. Jason Dean. You guys have an amazing, beautiful, wonderful weekend. And let us know if you have any questions, because I'm sure you will after this power packed 2 hours. Have a wonderful night.
All right.
Bye-bye.